Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
With the Olympics wrapped up and now the next worldly event, the World Baseball Classic, before the Major League Baseball season starts up, to join us and talk more about former MLB relief pitcher Justin Miller joins us here on the program. Funny enough, just before we started up the program, I mean, living in my hometown up and in Las Vegas, you know, and up and in the desert heat. But I'll tell you what, though, watching the Olympics and just kind of getting a good picture of what the World Baseball Classic is going to look like, because it's not completely integrated into the Olympics. And I get it, because the timing of everything and where you're going to be losing stars, probably going to have to coast a little bit until the stars come back. But what do you kind of think this World Baseball Classic, giving an outlook? And the United States, we're always seeming to be the underdogs because Japan's got a pretty damn good roster. You got Dominican Republic with a lineup, but pitching is the question mark. What do you kind of see from this tournament, even after what we just got in this past Olympics?
I mean, it's gonna be a good show, that's for sure. I like that we got Skeens and Scooble coming out there to represent the USA. Harper's putting the jersey back on. I mean, our lineup's going to be pretty good, but like you said, it's kind of tough for those guys because they're still trying to get ready for the season. So they kind of got to play at a high competitive level and still stay healthy and not get themselves hurt for the start of the season. I mean, nobody wants to see that. But yeah, Japan, they're always loaded. They got guys everywhere. The Latin countries, they're stacked. I mean, you can see with MLB how densely populated it is with the Latin community. It's just going to be a fun fight.
I really do like the fact that we're getting more competition on here, because I mean, you got to think Panama is competing, Brazil is competing. So more countries are starting to show up more, even Czech Republic, which they came in and competed the last 4 years ago. And so when I started hearing about the stories about a team in Pakistan they were competing, I'm like, how can they play baseball in the middle of all that sand? So I love new stories like this. The only thing that I was kind of questioning is the fact that we don't have Mike Trout up and in here, because to me, I know Mike Trout, loyal and faithful to the A, but at some point down the stretch, something's kind of got to give for his career in the most respectful way, because one, I just don't think Artie Moreno and the Angels are really kind of priming to build themselves for better. But for Mike Trout, I mean, he was one of our best domestic stars still to this day. And so when you think about that, not in the World Baseball Classic, I mean, kind of takes away a little the accolade of being the Olympian and maybe potentially striving for gold, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, Trout's favorite player is Jeter. He grew up idolizing Jeter, and Jeter stayed with the same team his whole entire career. So I can see how he wants to stay faithful to the team he's with. But yeah, it's tough to see one of the greatest players to play our game to not play further in the postseason and try to fight for that ring. I mean, it's kind of a shame, but I just wish the Angels organization would kind of build up around him and actually push to try to get something like that for him.
Absolutely. That's the one thing I hope for, is the day that the news came out, he's moving on and he's going into a competitive state in one of the franchises that's ready to compete. And that way he can go out and show his stuff and give what he's got left in the tank before, he comes out at the end of his prime. So here's a fun question here for you. In your experience playing in this game, when spring training was right up and around the corner, pitchers and catchers report, what was the experience and the feeling like for you? Because it felt, I've had a couple guys on here, Logan Morrison, Jay Jackson, they all said it's like you feel like you're a kid at Christmas. Thank God baseball's back. Like, what was the experience for you to come out in the best season? Because I love it. My birthday's in March, so I love spring training games. Like, what's that feeling like for you to hear that?
For me, it was always kind of a different year to year. I mean, I never signed a guaranteed contract. I was always a year to year basis. So when spring training came around, it was time for me to like lace up my shoes and like go fight for a job. And I think there was only two times that I made the team out of camp. Every other time I had to go down and prove myself because there was always doubters or naysayers not thinking I can compete at that level. And I would go down there and just prove them wrong. But coming into spring training, it was always nice to be out here. I was half my spring trainings were in Arizona, my other half was in Florida. I kind of dreaded going to Florida. I mean, the travel out there is kind of brutal. Coming out to Arizona, the travel is really, really nice. But it was always good to get out here, see the guys, get in the clubhouse again, get that atmosphere back, and just going out and having fun, competing every single day.
So last year, I thought this was such a fun World Series between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers because we got all the way to 7 games. But what I thought was impressive, and I think a lot of it kind of came down to the wire, that Toronto didn't quite take advantage of the opportunity that was right there in front of them. I mean, errors started to happen. Situational hitting wasn't quite going their way, even though they had guys that were shooting for the gaps, pushing the runners to score in more runs batted in. But I think a lot of it just the adversity of the Dodgers, where they kind of felt like they were down, but not quite out of the count. So when you look at a game like that, I mean, two great competitors, one that led the league in hits, the other one, they've got Ohtani, and the rest of them are all supporting casts that just know what to do. So when you think about that, like how impactful can that be for any team when you put together a roster and you got the relief pitching in the pen, because that's important. You got to have guys to situationally pitch, but then also guys that are willing to come up off the bench, give you a hit, give you a walk, give you something to get you up and on base to then be the crucial impact into where that game now has just changed the tables.
Yeah, it's when you get to that high of a level and you get to that kind of like stress level, you can see where guys try to press and they're trying to do too much. And I think that's kind of like where they didn't capitalize on some of their areas that could have changed the outcome of the World Series for the Blue Jays. Those guys, I mean, if you watch the Dodgers, they were all relaxed. Like it didn't matter if they were down, like you said, like they kind of knew that they were going to win. And playing with that relaxed attitude, I mean, I can revert back to when I was on the Fresno State College World Series team, and we were going up against like number twos, number threes in the nation, and we had no business being there. And it didn't matter if we were down by 10 runs or we were up by 10 runs. We were just a bunch of goofballs just playing the game of baseball that we loved and played it freely and didn't put any added stress on there because we weren't supposed to be there. And turns out we wound up winning the thing. You could see on the other side how the pressure started getting to the guys. They're white knuckling the benches, trying to press and trying to force things to happen. And that's when things go wrong. For us, we just played freely, didn't really care, and played loose, played fun, and turns out we wound up winning the dang thing.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I mean, like arguably the best World Series I've seen in my life, not only just with this one, but the best one, 2014, Giants and Royals, because to me it felt like pure baseball. Both teams were not fixated up on home runs, even though yes, they do matter in some aspects, but I had great hitting, I had great pitching because it was like a game of chess. You were fighting against the best hitters and the best pitchers and finding ways of who's going to crack first. And then all the way to the 7th game, where it's only a 1-run game at the end of it, was like, that was pure baseball. And I loved every bit of that. So, yeah, I mean, at the highest level, I actually have a friend of mine I went to high school ball with who's currently a free agent waiting to be signed, but bouncing around from Pittsburgh to Detroit and a couple places, but hopefully getting to see him in the majors at some point soon, man. Like it's a very tough game itself, but it's sweeter by the time you make the roster and then you're out there and you're playing and you're having fun. So I've asked many major leaguers this question, and I know that this has been an ongoing question for quite some time to figure this out. I actually spoke with a scout that's been there for over 30 years, Pat Murphy, and we discussed about the latest controversy with the salary cap deal and the lockout for Major League Baseball. Here's the thing. The Dodgers found a way to manipulate the money. They found a way to bring in the most smart-minded people to build a culture, build a structure, and guys are going to want to come out here to compete. Well, their biggest cash cow, obviously, is Shohei Ohtani. You bring in the international money because people are going to buy tickets, merchandises, etc. But then you have the Kyle Tucker situation where he takes a contract for over 240 million, when Toronto, on the other hand, threw 350, and yet he chose to be in Los Angeles. And people are outraged because it's like the Dodgers are getting talented players. Well, here's a fact on this, Justin. In the last 20 plus years, we've only had, before the Dodgers went back to back, only 6 teams out of the 20 that were number one in all of Major League Baseball that's won a World Series. The rest of them were either in the top 15s. So when I think of the salary cap, to me, I'm opposed because I don't want to benefit majority of the owners because they're the ones that they got to spend the money for, i.e. Pittsburgh, Washington, and even the Miami Marlins. Because if you're not spending the money, you ain't competing. And I think that's where a lot of teams like the Cubs, the Dodgers, even some spurts, the Braves, can spend the money and be competitive. But when you think about this salary cap, how impactful could that be? Because Pat mentioned this. If we put a salary cap, put in a max where you've got the actual cap and the floor, and maybe get rid of the arbitration as a whole, because you're going to get youngsters you're going to put on a contract deal anyway.
Yeah, I think the owners are trying to get away from the arbitration as it is. I mean, you see it when these young guys come up. If they produce right off the bat, they're going to try to buy out their arbitration for pennies on the dollar. It used to be where your first 3 years you're getting paid league minimum, and then your next 3 years you're getting paid for what you're putting out on the field. And then after that, when you're a 6-year free agent, you kind of get overpaid for the first 6 years that you did play in the league. I mean, you lasted that long, you should kind of get some compensation for it. That's how it used to be. Now the owners have kind of figured out a way to where they can buy out this arbitration, and if they're not good enough, they're not going to even try to go to arbitration. They're going to try to get you for the cheapest possible rate they can get. Problem is like baseball is all about putting the best product on the field, and in order to do that, you got to open up the pocketbook.
Yep.
And a lot of these owners, I mean, they're billionaires for a reason. They're very smart businessmen. They're going to try to get the best product they can for the cheapest amount. Now, some of these teams, they're going to spend the money. I mean, the Yankees back in the day, they bought all those championships by spending the money. They got the best players, they put them out on the field, and they dominated. They were a dynasty. Dodgers are trying to do the same thing now. These fans that are mad, they shouldn't be mad at the players. They should be mad at the owners for not wanting to spend the money and put the best product on the field. I mean, that's the whole game of baseball is we want the best athletes, the best baseball players in the world to play in the MLB and put on the best show on dirt and grass. And right now it's just trending towards this other way where they're trying to save as much money as they can. I mean, they're billionaires for a reason, but they can also open up that book and open up the avenues. And I mean, they're even trying to push out guys that are getting in their 30s that can still play baseball, and they're saying that they're washed up. And these guys are just sitting on the shelves waiting to get signed. And they're just going to call up the next youngest talent at 21 years old and pay him league minimum instead of paying a guy that's proven himself and been in the league for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it is, and can still go out there and perform at the highest level. And these owners are wanting to go get these young guys because they can control these young guys. The older guys, they're going to speak up and they're going to speak their mind because they've been in the league and they deserve that right. I mean, if you look back at like Craig Kimbrell, for a matter of fact, best closer in baseball. And when it came time for his contract, he was asking for the money that he deserved, that he felt like he deserved. And the owners made him sit for half a year before he wound up getting signed. And then he kind of had to bounce around. And I mean, when you don't have that security and you kind of get that doubt that the owners are trying to put in your head that you're not good enough, you kind of saw what happened to him. I mean, he was by far one of the best relievers that has ever come into Major League Baseball.
Oh man, when I seen him in his early days in Atlanta and just seeing like, man, this kid can actually fight tooth and nail to get a save in Atlanta. And I felt like that was a kind of a typical setting of Atlanta because they know how to play baseball this way. And so when you get a guy like Craig Kimbrell out of all the youngsters that they're bringing up, like Freddie Freeman and the most of them, I'm like, this is going to be a roster that's going to be fighting to compete because it brings me back nostalgic memories of the 90s with the Braves. And so with that, yeah, I mean, bouncing around several times, and it felt a lot like he was kind of like, I hate to kind of put it this way, but it felt like you're at a grocery store and you're over there and you're trying to get like your multivitamins for your body to be 110%. And you're kind of cherry picking all these other things that are like, okay, I need this. I kind of need this. I don't know about that one, but yet that can be a very good supplement there for you to feel your 110% best, right? And so it's like, I just think for some of the Major League Baseball players, I feel for them, but even for like the ownerships, like we talked about here with Dick Monfort in Colorado, is like they want to focus so much on the farm system, but if you don't have the right veteran voices in this locker room to help shape the young kids, get them into that position where they can compete, then it could turn things around very vastly. So, so by saying that, it has to be a healthy balance for the two because we're seeing this game kind of change. But in my opinion, is we've seen analytics and statistics when they rolled out Moneyball in 2002, but the love of the game, and then not to mention the art and style of the game hasn't quite changed because baseball is America's pastime. It's so rich in history. So it's like the same things are still happening. It just looks a little different because of the new technologies. When you think about the evolution of baseball, because I see this with the NBA, and the NBA's got to figure it out with their stars, with all this international pull, and then eventually come to grips with their college hoops because I want to get to know these kids. I want to know where the schools they came from. So when they get drafted, I'm like, oh, I've seen him play. And then with Major League Baseball, we're trending in the direction of rule changes, automatic strike zones. Where do you kind of see the future of the evolution of baseball kind of go to when we're trending towards this? I've heard backlashes about the pitch clock where they don't necessarily like it as much because you got to think about grip, control, and velocity, because sometimes that can hinder a lot with a pitcher's hand placement and even with their arms, Tommy John surgeries. So when you think about that, where do you kind of see this go in, like, let's say the next 5+ years?
I think we're going to see a lot more injuries. You're talking about the pitch clock. I absolutely hate the pitch clock. I understand they want us. It's like an oxymoron. They want a faster game, but they want more offense of production. They want more home runs. So how are you supposed to have a faster game if you're scoring more runs? It makes no sense to me. The thing about the pitch clock, not only in between pitches, but coming from the bullpen to the mound, I think it was like a minute 20, a minute 15 that you had. They don't put into consideration that when I come out of the bullpen and I come to the mound, I'm meeting with the manager and the catcher. Manager's going to tell me the situation and what he is looking for, or give me a little pep talk. And then I got to go to the catcher and we're going to go over signs. Whether we got to go over signs when the runner's on second because they like to steal signs. So we have a different sequence of signs. Right. If we feel like they're going to be picking them up, then we got to change to our second set of signs. So that right there takes time. So you go from a minute 20 to maybe I have 40 seconds to throw a couple pitches to get ready to face the best hitters in the world in a pressure situation. You're just putting that added stress to like hurry everything up. I mean, we don't go into somebody's cubicle in office and be over their shoulders and tell them to get this paperwork done in 30 seconds. Right. Put that added stress on people. So why does it have to come on me in the biggest stage in baseball to be as quick as I possibly can? The game's already hard enough as it is, and you're putting even more added stress on it. It used to be when I first came up, you would get 8 pitches no matter what. Right. I would get 8 pitches to throw. Umpire would get new baseballs, maybe get some water. The guys would be able to throw the ball around or whatever, or just sit if I'm coming in the middle of an inning, and I would be able to be fully ready to throw my best stuff on the biggest stage. and it would give the hitter time to see more pitches to track, whatever. Gives him time to see what I got, maybe go over the scouting report, all that stuff. Everything is just nowadays is like they want it fast. They want everything super, super fast. I absolutely hate it. And you can see nowadays you're talking about the rule changes. I feel like every single rule in baseball that has come into baseball or Major League Baseball, except for the ABS system that just came out,
Yep.
every rule that Manfred has put in has been to hinder the pitcher. Whether it was buying the baseball, rolling baseball, controlling the product, making juiced baseballs. He wants to speed up the game, so now he's putting stress on me in between innings, in between coming into a game, and now in between pitches. So everything is just hurry, 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 hurry. All the ballparks have been changed. All the dimensions have been brought in. There's no more pitchers parks. They're all bandboxes. Yeah, just I feel like every rule that's been put into place has been to hinder the pitcher. I mean, now they're frisking guys when they come off the field, checking for sticky stuff, where that's been in baseball since it started. I mean,
Yeah.
when baseball was first started, they played with one ball until it was completely blown out, and then they got the new ball. So that ball got messed up all the time. There were scuffs. You can move it and do all this stuff. Guys have been using sunscreen, rosin, pine tar. I think for me as a pitcher and pitcher standpoint, because the hitters always have backlash. They're like, "Oh, you get to use the sticky stuff to throw a nastier stuff." I'm like, "All right, well, you go ahead and grab a bat without any pine tar, any batting gloves, and go swing that thing as hard as you can, and see if you can hold on to the bat."
And on a non-cork bat, right?
Exactly. You're not going to be able to do that. So I feel like make it a fair game. Bring back all the sticky stuff. Let the guys be able to hold on to the ball so they're not gripping it death grip and wind up blowing out their shoulder, their arm, their lat, whatever. Whatever they have in the on deck circle, they should have that same thing behind the mound. Just put it
Yes.
behind the mound. It's not going to get in the way. Pitcher's not going to step on it. Fielders aren't going to step on it. Put it right there. Let them have their stuff. Let the guys in the on deck circle have their stuff, and make it a fair fight.
Yeah. And you know what? It's what makes baseball so much more entertaining when you can have the one-on-one matchups every time. And I mean, I feel like, and this is kind of my 2 cents on it. It feels a lot like Major League Baseball is trying to compete with the NFL, but the NFL has so much ratings. They have so much viewership. There ain't no way you're going to trump it because schedule release, draft picks, free agency, and then you're on to the season. And then all the games are competitive. When I look at Major League Baseball, this might actually make you smile. But to me, when I look at some of the scouts, I understand they're trying to look for the fastest pitch. But here's the reality. Batters are going to catch up to the fastest pitch. In my opinion, I want a guy that's going to throw the nasty stuff. I want a guy that's, hey, try to hit off me. It's almost like basketball. It's like, hey, if you're going to score on me, bro. But I'm going to show you my good stuff here, whether it's a sneaky slider, a nasty curveball, whichever it may be. But I'm going to throw my stuff because I want to know if you're able to catch to it. And then I give you more props, more respects because you caught me on it. But, to me, yeah, the pitch clock, trying to get set, trying to, focus in on especially when you're on the road and you're in a different ballpark and you've got all of the crowd screaming, yelling, hooting and hollering and being obnoxious as they are as fans. But you're trying to cancel out all the noise and just execute the pitch. Whereas to me, I get the ghost runner rule, in my opinion, with as far as regular season, not so much for the postseason, because you want to wrap these games up. I get it. You don't want it to go 2.5 hours past of like a weeknight, like on a Tuesday night, because somebody's got to work. I understand that. But wrapping those games up, because it feels a lot like the shootout in hockey where you're trying to wrap it up. Somebody's going to be a winner. I get that portion of it, but not for postseason, because postseason's the best time of year where you tune in October and it's much more pressurizing. But to me is like, I understand on the rule aspects, but baseball's so rich that this is how the game has been playing for numerous amount of years. It's a chess mental aspect game. That's all it is you're trying to figure out best pitch to attack the hitter, and the hitter's trying to figure out what is he going to throw at me next that I have to be prepared for. Like for instance, lefties on a shift. It drives me crazy when they pull the ball every single time on a shift. And I'm just like, there's a free base right there for you just so that you can bunt it on third base line and get to first base. Because I want to rattle the pitcher's cage so much that I want to take him out of the game in 2 innings, not for 7. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like that kind of game is like, I just don't understand it. And maybe that's just the aspects on the player's view from that end. But to me, is like, look, he's giving you a free base, go take it. Go get up and on base. And then the pitcher can then go in and say, damn, he's going to try to do that. We need to play squared up and play him regularly. And I got to throw the best pitches that I know will get him out, fly out, ground out, or whatever it may be. So I just think, yeah, it's not perfect, but at the same time, I just don't think Major League Baseball is ever going to trump the NFL. And they got to be okay with that, but still make it entertaining. Rivalry games is always the best time. Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, Giants, Dodgers, Yankees. If you put more of those in prime time, then maybe your viewerships might go up and you wouldn't have like this ongoing problem. But, lots of systems these days are never always perfect. You kind of have to tweak it in order for it to be better. But hopefully Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred, they can figure that out. Because to me, I've put Rob Manfred on blast during the COVID season. I didn't exactly like how shortened it was, because it was like we could have had 100 games in. And to me, if you're going to do fast stuff, then shorten the games. 162 games seems to be too long. If you have at least 100 games, right? Think about it this way. 25 are interleague. 25 are your most viewed, watched rivalry games, whether it's in your division or it's interleague, the classic matchups. And then you kind of sprinkle in some matchups you've never played all throughout it until you get into that last 25 where that's your postseason push. You know what I mean? I feel like with that, you can make that manageable. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that seems good on paper. If they can get that going, that'd be interesting to see. Um, I s- Baseball, it's just so weird. I don't like the way it's trending. I don't like the shifts. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I got beaten on the shift because I'm throwing my best stuff against his best stuff. If his hot map lined up with my best stuff, I'm still throwing it there because my stuff's probably going to beat him 7 times out of 10,
Yep.
if not more. Um, I wanted to get back to old school baseball. You were talking about the rivalries. The whole reason there was rivalries is because there was bench clearing brawls. Guys didn't
Yep.
like each other,
Yeah.
and they policed themselves on the field. If a guy was going to show somebody up or slide hard into second, guess what? The next guy was probably going to get one in between his shoulder blades.
And
And
managers were going nuts.
yeah, and managers were going at each other. I mean, that's what made the game of baseball baseball. The players police themselves. And if you showed a guy up and didn't give him any kind of respect and like you disrespected him, they were going to handle it on the field. And the pitchers were the guys to be the enforcers. They're the guys to like protect their players. I mean, Roger Clemens was a guy, Randy Johnson was a guy that would do that.
Yep.
Pedro Martinez, he's known for if you did something to his players or you disrespected his team, he was going to let you know. And he wasn't afraid to go meet you halfway in between the mound and home plate. That's what made the game of baseball so great, is because there was a lot of respect in the game. I feel like nowadays with all the showboating and showing guys up, there's no more respect. It's just all about the next hot shot that can go out there and run his mouth or show somebody up, that whole kind of thing. We've kind of
Yeah.
lost the respect of baseball, and I wanted to get back to old school baseball. Bring guys up that know actually how to pitch, how to set guys up, how to go deep into a game. Not somebody out there that's just going to light up the radar gun and light it up for a couple years, blow out, and be done. I want guys
Agreed.
that are going to pitch 20 years in the big leagues. I want guys that these fans can get behind and see him every single year for 15, 20 plus years, not see him for 6. My favorite player has only played for 6 years and then he's gone. He's not playing no more. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard enough getting to the big leagues. It's even harder staying in the big leagues. But if you get the right guys around and the right mentorship, that's the other thing too. With behind the scenes of baseball, they're hiring all these young guys that have never touched a baseball in their life, but they know the
Yeah.
analytics, they know the numbers. Well, you can take a guy that knows the numbers and can tell you the numbers, but he can't tell you how to do it on the field.
Right.
Get a guy that has been in the league for 10, 13 plus years, that has gone through these situations and he came up a flamethrower and then rebuilt himself and learned how to pitch and learn how to tweak grips here and there and get guys out. You need that kind of mentorship and that kind of experience to talk to an athlete, to tell them or scenarios and like how they can get to where they were. I mean, you got these guys that have never touched a baseball and they're trying to show you or trying to tell you how to do these certain things to light up this number on a computer.
Right.
It's way different. Those computers too, they can't tell what's inside here. They can't tell how big this heart is, or this fight, or this drive.
Mhm.
I mean, Petey with the Red Sox. You want to think that guy nowadays can make it into baseball? Is one of the best second basemen ever,
Yep.
and that dude had more heart than anybody. He was there. Shoot, I don't know. He was there before managers got there because he was
Yeah.
ready to play a game of baseball. He had
Mhm.
so much drive. I mean, I wish it would trend in the opposite direction than it's going now, and
Yep.
not worry about the radar guns, not worrying about guys hitting 500-foot tanks. Let's
Mhm.
get guys up there that can hit it to all fields.
Yeah.
Let's let the players play in their positions. The holes are already small enough as they are. If you
Yep.
start shifting guys over, now you can build a Walmart in between third base and shortstop. Um, you're just giving them opportunities. I mean, if you had a guy like Tony Gwynn playing nowadays and they're shifting on him, he'd
Yeah.
hit like 400.
You know what he would want to do. He
Yeah,
would want to
exactly.
keep
Just
yeah.
manufacture runs. Don't strike out 2 times and then wait for the blast.
Yes.
Get guys that don't walk the house, trying to throw the nastiest stuff and not be able to just throw the nastiest stuff inside the zone. Get the guys out inside the zone. Don't try
Yeah.
to make somebody look stupid. Just go after guys, compete, and I hope that baseball eventually trends back in that way.
I hope so too. And because it's the beauty behind it, but it's also just the nature of the game itself. That's what makes it so exciting. And it's also so rich that it's just like, it's part of our history. And that's where a lot of these players, that's why they love playing the game of baseball. But man, by the time I get back out of my hometown, dude, we got to catch up on a golf matchup, man, and be up out there and talk more baseball because I love doing this all the time, And so, I mean, I talked baseball with Aaron Rowan at one point, which was out of nowhere, and that was a whole Chase Utley slide controversy, and I was like, I just loved talking about the game itself and just what it should be, and then at the same time having fun with just like what we could do better with it and to better for the players and to even better for just the game and the history in it in itself. Justin, appreciate you for coming on by, man. Really appreciate you taking the time, man, and talking. Love talking more ball with you, man. Take care of yourself. I'm eventually going to get back up out there in my hometown in Vegas. Know I got to get to show off the baby boy to my family and all of that. And so can't wait to get back up out there, but definitely would love to get a couple rounds of golf up there with you, my man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.